Are you ready?
Agility from the champion. Oh, deep six! That could be a delivered this deep six.
Good evening, Joe. How are you doing, my friend?
What's going on, Wayne?
Welcome back.
Thanks, man. Always a pleasure.
And I got to give a welcome back to myself because I haven't been on in a couple weeks. But we just been mad busy between me and our other co-host, Tommy. We just been mad busy, but we're getting into the busy season. Survivor Series coming up shortly. Royal Rumble not far after that. So our rest is done, and we're ready to start getting ready to go into high gear to the new year. But Joe, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing all right, man. Hanging in there. Like you said, man, really busy. You know, it's funny. We can get like really caught up into like routine and whatnot. And like today, I was off from work and it was for Veterans Day. So shout out to all the veterans. Thank you so much for all your service and all of that. And, but for me, I woke up thinking that it was just a normal Friday. And so I'm like, oh, I'm going to get ready for work and realizing, oh no, I'm off today. So my whole thing is like my whole schedule, everything's kind of just thrown off. I found myself tired in the afternoon because that's when I usually take a nap on the train. And so just like, so I'm all thrown off, but you know what? It's an exciting time to be a wrestling fan.
It really is. And we're gonna talk more about that in a second. But for those of you guys that are watching, we are live. It is just after 11:16 p.m. here in New York. And I can't wait to dive into this, man. But I just wanted to let you guys know, let's just get the announcements out of the way really quick. Episode 100 is coming very soon. This is the last official podcast episode before we go into episode 100, which I cannot wait. We're in the middle of planning that and figuring it all out. Scheduling wise, we have
How cool
content
is that, man?
we're
100 episodes?
It is official episodes.
Like that's
We've done
amazing.
more than 100
Of course,
episodes
yeah.
technically because of all the prediction shows, post shows that we've done.
Post shows.
But podcast shows, this is episode 100. So I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, man. Shout out to you, dude. That's a lot of work to do this, you know, and to be able to, you know, do something that not only are you passionate about, but also like entering like this type of platform, you know, it's a lot of work. So, you know, like shout out to you and the whole team, and it takes a lot. And for you to be 100 episodes in, looking back at 100 episodes ago, like, and to think where 100 episodes from now will be, you know what I mean? It's like, it's cool.
Yeah, a lot has changed over the past couple of years. But we're 100 episodes in just about. And yeah, it's just a very exciting time. Next week, if I'm not mistaken, is AEW All Out. AEW Full Gear pay-per-view. Excuse me.
That's what's on the
AEW
19th.
Full
That's
Gear.
right.
That's next week. Next Saturday. So that will be AEW Full Gear post show, which will be hosted by Tommy and Justin. Cannot wait. They killed it last week. We had quite a good number of viewers. Very excited about that. We'll put on a show if we have one viewer watching at the time. We'll put on a show if we've had 250 viewers watching at one time, which we've had. So we're here regardless. We're going to be here next week. A week after should be right around Thanksgiving weekend. But then, and that's Survivor Series.
Yeah,
so,
they're 1 week apart.
Yeah, so within the next 3 weeks, I will tell you there will be episode 100. It could very well be Survivor Series weekend. Could be the week after. So we will let you guys know when episode 100 will be. But that is the next. We have no more podcast episodes to do. The next podcast episode we do will be episode 100, and I cannot wait. Now, to let you guys know, make sure you guys subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. Our t-shirt. We have pro wrestling tees our Aftermath Pro Wrestling Podcast t-shirt brand, colored in gold, navy blue, and black, with our Aftermath logo that you guys see on the screen right there. On ProWrestlingTees.com, search for the Aftermath Pro Wrestling Podcast. And of course, make sure you share this to your friends. Help us out. We're growing. We are growing, and you guys are the guys that watch every week and share are totally behind that, and we appreciate that. But oh, dude, what happened to the baseball playoffs? By the way, what did I see with the National League?
I don't know, man. It was so exciting to see good baseball, to be honest, in that series. It was just like overall, like, I mean, I knew when, who was it? Oh, now I'm going to screw this up. I don't know players on other teams really, but I knew when the Phillies won that one game, right? But they only won one in the series.
No, so they won game
2.
They won game 2 and 3.
Oh, they won 2 and 3. Oh, that's right. There was 2 and 2.
Yeah,
that's right. Okay,
so it was 2-1, and then there was a combined no hitter by Houston Astros.
That's it. The combined no hitter.
Game 4.
I'm like, oh, okay, this was that's. I think that's it.
You thought that was a turnaround moment for you?
No, that was when it was like, oh, okay, no, that was the exclamation point. Like at that point, I was like, oh, okay, I think
Houston's gonna wrap it up, right?
Houston's gonna wrap it up. Next one. Yeah.
Let me tell you something. I got made fun of. Listen, I don't like the Houston Astros by any means. As you can see, I'm a Boston Red Sox fan. I got the logo right there. I support my team. But let me tell you something. I got made fun of for 3 months, by 4 months, by the Yankee fans who think they are greater than anybody in baseball, which they're not. Because let me tell you something. They won 27 world championships. Guess what? 20 of their 27 World Series wins came before 1960, when they only had 10 teams to battle all year long. How can you tell me this is the greatest team in history? Is beyond me. Baseball has changed. They are not that team anymore. When I saw the Yankees win 4 wins in July and 3 wins in August, I knew this team was not going anywhere. I saw Houston was up on the rise. If anything, so I called Houston Astros to the T that this team's going to be the one to go all the way. Now, National League, I had Mets and Dodgers, so I was wrong. I humbly accept that. I had Mets or Dodgers. Nobody saw a 111-win Dodger team get eliminated in the first round of the wild card, mind you. And then the Mets, 101, a very good season, 101 wins, loses the division lead on the last weekend of baseball. They slumped at the wrong time the last 2 weeks, and that very well could have costed them.
It definitely did.
I'm sure Scherzer, DeGrom could have used that rest.
Yeah, against the Braves, and then all of a sudden, there you go.
And then Braves, they lost to they got eliminated too. 100 wins, eliminated. Yankees, 99 wins, eliminated. We knew that was going to happen though. But the National League, like Philadelphia Phillies, 89 wins. Were they 89 and I want to say 82?
I mean, it certainly wasn't near 100.
89. And what about, no, it would have been 89 and 72, I think. 89 73. So Philadelphia's 89 and 73, knocking off these 100+ win teams and making the World Series and taking the Astros to 6 games.
Listen, we've seen it in sports, right? It's not getting to the playoffs is one thing, and then once playoffs start, anything can happen. You know, think about when the Giants went into the playoff. Giants went into the playoffs in 2012. They were 9-7. You know what I mean? It was just like, who would have thought?
Yeah,
right?
Unbelievable. So that was a fun
time. I will say this though. I mean, and I think you'll enjoy this too, because I usually don't say anything bad about Yankee fans. Yeah, I'm a Mets fan, right? And
you gotta say stuff bad.
But here's what I will say. I did see this on Instagram. Someone was posting it or something, maybe on Barstool, but they were complaining about how the Yankee fans were booing Aaron Judge during that last game, or during his last at bat. I think he went 0-3 or 0-4 or something like that. And like he's like leaving towards the dugout, and the fans are booing him. And I'm like, this guy's going into free agency soon, right? His contract's up. How are you going to boo this guy? If you're Aaron Judge, how are you going to want to stay? You know, hey, listen, if he likes New York.
Aaron Judge did not show up during the playoffs, plain and simple. If he would have showed up, Yankees may have a chance. No, I mean, no. The Yankees don't get swept. The Yankees do not get swept if Aaron Judge shows up. Maybe they take the Astros to 5 or 6. Astros was too good.
Yeah,
the pitching was good. The hitting was.
Oh yeah.
Now Astros didn't
Impossible.
put up enough runs, but they put up timely hits, and their pitching was stellar. Yankees were not beating Houston Astros. Yankee fans are out of their mind if they thought they were going to win the series against the Astros, but there's no reason why that series couldn't have gone. That should have gone 5 or 6, and it would have if Judge were hitting more. Let's just say that. So some of the boos are kind of warranted a little bit.
Yeah.
But
again, I'm not a big baseball guy.
But now,
but also Judge is at the top of their order, right? Is that normal for their best hitter to be top of the order?
It's not normal. Shouldn't be normal, but it was what was working when they turned around their slump.
I guess so. Like I said, hey, you get to the dance, right? You get to playoffs, and then like that's your goal. Once you're there, anything can happen.
Yeah. So let's talk about some wrestling, shall we? We'll get to some random stuff later on. There's so much to talk about outside of wrestling. We could talk politics. We could talk sports. We could talk Call of Duty. There's a lot of things that have been going on recently, but we got to get to wrestling. I got to say, I am enjoying the Triple H booking. And we're gonna get more into that, but I'm enjoying this era of WWE right now, and it's only gonna get better. But we're on the road to WWE Survivor Series in 2 weeks in Boston, which I will be. I cannot wait.
Absolutely, it's fresh vision, and it's not. And I don't want to say fresh as in, because obviously he's been doing this for years, right? Down in NXT, like we've seen what Triple H style booking can get for not just fans, but also like think about the different superstars who have been able to reinvent themselves and become like just not even completely different characters, but just like other versions of themselves where like, okay, we can actually get behind, I think about guys like Baron Corbin, who like I thought was kind of funny with like, the poor man Corbin. And then all of a sudden he's like the swing of him getting real rich. But now this version of Baron Corbin is something else, right? Because he's got that JBL rub, and it's just like it's thinking about like the opportunity in this new vision for guys like Baron Corbin to be able to reinvent themselves and make something out of it. Good opportunities. There's nothing but opportunities at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think Triple H is given a little bit more creative freedom. You could tell like his style of booking has been inserted. They've gotten away from the stale booking that WWE was subjecting us every Monday night, mostly Monday night, SmackDown too, but definitely Monday nights because we had to sit through an extra hour of it, of the same matches week after week after week. But like I noticed that, okay, so what? We see the Miz interrupt Roman Reigns. Okay, but that's fresh. When do you ever see Miz interrupt Roman Reigns? And you see like R-Truth randomly pop up. Like you just see like we're seeing like different faces, which we're seeing different matches every week. We're seeing different interruptions. Like we're just seeing fresh stuff. It doesn't mean it's always going to be great, but we're always seeing fresh stuff, which I like. Seeing Lesnar come out, interrupting Bobby Lashley. It's something we haven't seen in a while. Is fresh, and that they had their big brouhaha in Saudi Arabia. I'm sorry, Riyadh, same country. Anyhow, but yeah, no, we're seeing like different fresh feuds. There's some feuds going on right now that kind of need to come to an end soon, in my opinion. We're seeing what's her name? Bianca Belair, and we're seeing Alexa Bliss, and we're seeing Asuka, constantly facing off against Bailey and
I think you know what,
Damage
like,
Control. So I feel like that's got to probably come to an end soon.
yeah, I think now's a good time to do it, and the timing couldn't be any more perfect with Survivor Series War Games coming up soon. And so I think that's a great way to really just put this, rivalry and this storyline to bed and give it the banger of a match that it deserves and give us great wrestling at that as well. But at a certain point, yeah, we need to find some type of direction as to where we're going to be heading towards the end of the year, heading towards another round of Royal Rumble, then the road to WrestleMania right after that. And so it's just like it's all happening so fast, and
Yeah.
so we
Yeah,
got to start building now.
it looks, and believe it or not, I mean, they're subtly working on things in the background for Mania. I mean, the whole Bloodline storyline is built until WrestleMania, so they're working on that. But yeah, so you got to figure that the women that we just mentioned, that's going to come to an end at War Games. That would be another match. I'm not too sure who the fourth person would be each side. I would imagine Becky Lynch will be in there because she's got her rivalry. She was taken out by Damage Control.
Yeah,
So
I think she was written off for that, and then
Becky Lynch.
a quick
I
shout
think
out
is
to
gonna be the
Becky
one.
Lynch. She played Cyndi Lauper in an episode of Young Rock, which is kind of cool.
Oh yeah. I saw that.
I saw a
check
clip.
that
I
out.
didn't see the episode, but I saw a clip of Becky Lynch, in her scene, and she puts on this American accent, and I'm always so fascinated when Europeans take on American accents. It's like it's just so cool to see, and I
Yeah.
was like very, very impressed.
Wow.
So anyway, she's been busy, which is good, and but
Yeah. So,
but I
so I'm
think
gonna
it'd be
call
a
it right
really fresh
now.
face to put in
I'm
there.
gonna call it right now. This is the War Games main event. Bianca Belair, Asuka, Alexa Bliss, Becky Lynch versus Bailey, Damage Control, and I'm gonna say Nikki Cross.
Yeah, I think they already had that
Both.
as a. I think they had four for the heel side. It was the
Yep.
four, like you said, Damage Control, Nikki Cross, and then one shadowed figure, and then on the
No,
other side,
they could insert Charlotte. I hope not. I don't
oh,
want to see her on my
maybe I don't
TV.
know.
It could very well be Charlotte. It's a big stage. It could also be Sasha Banks because it's going to be in Boston. Good way to bring her back.
Could
And
be.
maybe Bianca, Sasha Banks is flanked by Naomi. Naomi accompanies her to the ring, and you kind of maybe start that thing, program with Sasha, Naomi wanting to get the tag belts. You could do that. Kind of writes itself out.
Yeah, that's true.
I think Becky Lynch makes a little bit more sense in this spot though. So it's something to keep. But I'm gonna go Becky, Charlotte, or Sasha is gonna be the three.
Mm-hmm.
I'm led to believe Becky comes back in Survivor Series.
I could see also Candice LeRae getting in the mix. She has some War Games experience,
and I think she did have a couple of scuffles with Damage Control as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think if they're really just trying to fill in a spot because it's just kind of random at this point, cool. If not, yeah, it would be a really good opportunity to bring in a Becky Lynch, a Charlotte Flair. It could be someone even like a Maya Yim who just debuted. But I think to mix up the storylines that much, as you were saying with like Triple H booking and whatnot, you see some of these storylines kind of like overlap. You don't see superstars staying in their lane, staying in their segment, never seeing each other, and we kind of saw that on Raw when you saw Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, and the OC get in the mix. It's like, oh well, just a couple weeks ago, Seth Rollins and Riddle were at it, and then Seth Rollins takes the belt off of Lashley. We're starting to see all of these different storylines kind of intertwine, which is cool. And that made me also think that if there is another person on the heel side and two more people on the babyface side, I would imagine, and it was kind of a cool callback. I think I saw it online somewhere where Bianca Belair had a quick run-in with Rhea Ripley backstage, and it was kind of just like, oh, Rhea Ripley's reminding, like, hey, I'm busy with the OC and Judgment Day, but I still haven't forgotten. I was that number one contender, you know?
Royal Rumble, man. Royal Rumble.
Right. You know, and it's like I couldn't make it, but there's no reason why I couldn't do it now.
I bet you Rhea gets that shot at the Rumble.
You know, and so like it would be a cool thing to kind of like have that kind of go in, and then also if you're filling in another spot on the babyface side, throw in a Maya Yim, throw in a Candice LeRae to round out 5-on-5. You could do it.
So let's talk out Mia Yim, because I don't think they'll go there with Mia Yim.
I don't think so either. It's too soon.
Because Mia Yim showed up on Monday night and finally made her return, and the storyline basically is been revolved around nobody can stop Rhea. Rhea's been the major X factor on Judgment Day, helping Judgment Day get all their wins, and Mia Yim, basically Rhea helping Judgment Day get the advantage over OC week after week after week. OC is laying down. Then we see Mia Yim attack Rhea Ripley from behind, and then she takes her hood off, exposing herself, and that was to everybody Mia Yim's way of coming back. Nobody knew it was her until she took the hoodie. And so I'm thinking this is leading to a mixed,
I think so too,
tag match, a mixed tag elimination match.
It would be, it would make more sense to do it that way. Survivor Series is a good, yeah.
I think they're gonna do that. So I think that's where they're headed. I kind of like it. It's fresh.
Definitely.
How far Mia Yim is going to be pushed after that, I'm not entirely sure.
I don't know.
I think this is kind of like a one-off, maybe over just for like the next couple months, and then Mia Yim will probably do her own thing, or maybe they keep her with them.
It reminds me of when Liv Morgan was in the mix with AJ Styles and Finn Balor versus Edge's Judgment Day, where it was kind of like, oh, okay, cool. You have this team that kind of looks cool, but it was just a little bit for this feud, and then moving on from there. It could be like that. Although, who was it? I'm really bad at the names of the new announcer. Who's the Irish guy? Kevin Patrick, something like that.
Something like that, yeah. I think
anyway,
so. Definitely Patrick. I think it's Kevin Patrick though.
He said apologies, but no. But he ended that segment with Mia Yim, welcome to the OC. I'm like, okay, cool. So it's kind of cool, because I don't think even in my understanding, even when it was the Bullet Club in New Japan and all throughout the Indies and whatnot, I don't know if there were any female members.
I don't believe so.
Yeah, and so it's kind of cool to kind of welcome a female into the club. Also, it's the equalizer that they need. It's kind of cool, definitely.
Yeah. So Mia Yim. So we got to talk about something else that happened on Raw, and I think you know exactly where I'm going to next. For it. Austin Theory cashes in his title. So for those, let's break it down for a second. He cashes in his briefcase. Let's break it down. Seth Rollins in the ring. The storyline, the bookend storyline of the night was Seth Rollins gonna do an open challenge. Okay, so then let's fast forward to the end of the night. We see Seth Rollins waiting for his competitor, who it's gonna be. Then you see Mustafa Ali in the ring, talking how he's gonna accept the challenge or whatever. You see on the big screen, you see Mustafa Ali in the big screen while Seth's in the ring watching the Titantron. And then we see Bobby Lashley take out Mustafa Ali, like totally took him out. And then you see the camera work on Bobby Lashley, and he's making a feline to the ring. Takes out Seth Rollins. Actually, no. So I believe the match started.
I think so.
I think the match started, or maybe it never officially started. But okay, yeah. So it went into a brawl. So Bobby and Seth are brawling all over. Seth is like knocked out. He's done. Bobby Lashley did a number on him. The refs come out. The officials come out, breaking everything up. And so we never officially got a match. So I thought we were going to get a match with, with that. Maybe they restarted the next segment. But anyhow, that ended up happening. Seth is still knocked out. And then I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. This isn't happening right now. Austin Theory comes out with his green briefcase, his Money in the Bank briefcase, to the ring. And Austin Theory cashes in. And first off, I'm thinking, why is this really happening on a non-major title? So we'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm thinking. Is this what? Cash in on a U.S. title? What's happening here? So I'm not in full agreement of how that happened.
For sure.
But after the bell rang, the match starts. We see Austin Theory put his moves on Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins constantly kicked out at 2.5 number of times. And eventually Seth Rollins gets the win with the curb stomp. But man, in my opinion, Seth Rollins' stock went through the roof. Like, I am looking forward to see the fallout, the aftermath, no pun intended, on this Monday night's Raw. So I'm looking forward to see that. And I just think, like, once the match was underway, like, in terms of a cash-in match, I felt like it was well done. Like, it was well teased. And I thought that was good. And Seth got the win, which was a big surprise because, like, this match was built so perfectly for Seth to lose because he was already knocked out by Bobby Lashley. So Seth Rollins' stock went through the roof. Like, Seth Rollins came out looking amazing after this.
For sure. And like I said, like, this is like Seth Rollins, the character, but he's also like the staple on Monday night, right? Mr. Monday Night, or I think that's what he calls himself, right? Or something like that. And so, like, perfect for him to go out on top, and especially after endured a brawl and a beating and an ambush. And then Austin Theory comes in with his briefcase and he cashes it in on, like you said, a non-major title, a title that he's already had before, and cashes it in and then fails. So I'm going to rattle off a few names here. Damian Sandow, Baron Corbin, Otis, Mr. Kennedy, and Austin Theory. These are guys who, I don't really think it's even all of them, but these are guys who have failed to cash in. And I didn't throw in John Cena. I know John Cena is also in there, right? Who failed to cash in or won the briefcase and did not cash it in, right? Mr. Kennedy, I think, was ambushed or something, or it was taken away from him, and I think Edge got it or something like that. And then Otis lost it to the Miz. Miz cashes it in, gets his second title, right? But it's so interesting to see how far Austin Theory has fallen in the wake of Seth Rollins really rising to the top, right? Not even just rising to the top. He's been there, but he's just carrying the load, on Monday nights. And it's just, it's so great to see Seth Rollins really, in my opinion, elevating the U.S. title to the point where Austin Theory wants that title at cost of his briefcase, and maybe that's the attempt at creative Triple H booking, whatever you want to call it. Maybe that's them trying to elevate the U.S. title to make it a major title, especially if Roman Reigns has gotten both titles on SmackDown, on Fox, and then we see here we have the U.S. title given that main event slot or that main event picture, that main event feel, making it Monday night's major title. If that's the case, so be it. But for wrestling fans, it's like, why not wait until you have the perfect opportunity and do it to Roman Reigns? You have the ticket. You have the capability of doing it, the opportunity.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. That's what should have happened, to be honest with you. And you could have done the same exact tease that they did on Monday night. Have Austin Theory nearly beat Roman Reigns with the cash in. Like, you could have saved the Austin Theory cash-in attempt for Survivor Series after War Games. Everybody's knocked out, and then you see Austin Theory come in at the end. Do the cash-in on Roman Reigns and see the exact play out that happened on Monday night, but except Roman Reigns instead of Seth Rollins, and then have
even
Roman
if he
Reigns
loses
win. Because then Austin Theory would have not necessarily been hurt by that. Necessarily. Another key point is announced recently, WWE Money in the Bank is no longer going to be a pay-per-view.
Oh, really?
So so it's not going to be any more pay-per-view from Money in the Bank, according to what's been announced.
There was to be a match somewhere.
So yeah, I think if I heard correctly, there should be a Money in the Bank match at WrestleMania.
Okay, that's back where it was.
That'd be the tradition, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's gonna happen. I mean, here's a couple things. Roman Reigns should be on TV once a week.
Mm-hmm.
1 week on a Friday, 1 week on a Monday. Take 11 days off and do it again. Show up on Friday, then the following week, which would actually be 3 days later.
Yeah.
Be there on Monday.
Yeah.
Every other
Even
Monday.
If you work the weekend
every other Friday.
Yeah.
And for some reason, Fox is giving USA a problem because they want Roman Reigns as their champion on Fox every week. But WWE, technically WWE is in charge of all the booking and should not, in my opinion, have Reigns exclusive to Fox.
Mm-hmm.
Because now you put yourself in this type of problem of when you had Reigns win the other title,
right?
Winning 2 titles. That is what is
it almost
the problem. Because if you had the red title, you need to show up on the Raw brand.
Yeah, it makes sense. Absolutely. It almost makes it unfair for when Roman Reigns does show up on Raw, they make it a huge deal, right? It's like, oh wow, the tribal chief is here, right? You saw Miz kind of just like, oh yeah, he puts him over in the ring. It's like, yeah, this is your ring. You're the tribal chief, you know. But I'm like, yeah, but he's never there. We had the same problem with Brock Lesnar with WWE Total, you know.
And the difference with that is Brock never showed up. Period.
Never showed up. No, yeah, of course. At least Roman Reigns is consistent. He's there, you know. Yeah. And even if he's not wrestling each week, you know, it's something where like at least his presence is known at the minimum every week on SmackDown. You know, he has shown up on Raw a few times here and there, you know, to kind of. But like I said, it's really then if that's the case, then it's really going to be the other titles, whether you want to call them non-major or secondary or whatever you want to call them, you know, those are the titles that are going to get the main event slot, you know, on Monday nights, which is fine because we see that happen in AEW where any given championship could be the main event of that evening. It could be the tag team, it could be North American, it could be whatever title or whatever it's called, you know, the
Atlantic,
North Atlantic, or whatever
TBS,
it is.
TNT, FTW.
Any of those titles could be the last show or the last match of the show, you know, and pull out a banger of a match and be a main event quality thing. And I think WWE, I think that's where it's lacked, where a lot of the other titles have felt less than because they're not given that slot. And so maybe this is a way for WWE to be like, all right, let's get all these major players mixed up, chasing after the U.S. title on Monday nights, you know, and even stage this whole cash in to make that U.S. title that much more coveted, which is cool, you know. And not to mention, I mean, depending on how you want to look at it, I believe it was Charlotte Flair who won Money in. Oh no, she won Royal Rumble. That's what it was. She won Royal Rumble and chose Rhea Ripley in NXT. I thought it was the other way. I thought it was Money in the Bank. But nonetheless, you know, we do see where these stipulations like Money in the Bank or Royal Rumble, you know, getting cashed in or getting, you know, taken advantage of on non-world titles, unless, you know. And so is there some value in it? For sure. But as you said before, the only person that really hurts from all of this is Austin Theory. You know?
Yeah, so now I'm not too sure if he necessarily hurts. I'm not too sure if it helped him either.
It certainly doesn't help.
I don't think it hurt him. I think it's where they go from this. A couple ways you can do it. You can keep him off TV for a little while,
Yeah,
um,
give
and
him a
just
break and then
simmer
reinvent
down,
him
and
and
then
throw him
have
out.
him, go in for like, Royal Rumble season. Um, but yeah, so a couple things. No more Money in the Bank.
Yeah,
Okay, you can't have Austin Theory beat Roman Reigns because that's just simply not the plan. uh, and he's basically hogging the two titles. It's kind of weird if you haven't just challenged for the one. They kind of put themselves into that corner. WWE did. Um, you definitely should have teased it on Reigns, though, for sure. No doubt about it. Should have cashed in on Reigns. That's
yeah,
my opinion. But there is a pro, made the U.S. title more important, for sure. But there is a plan for Austin Theory. The WWE machine, this new machine, is behind Austin Theory. There is a plan for him. How long it's going to take to unfold, I'm not entirely sure. I mean, honestly, my best guess is you got Roman Reigns. You got the person that's going to knock off Roman Reigns next year. And I would think Austin Theory would be kind of like in a short line of contenders that they have planned right now. So I think Austin Theory, they're going to build him back up. Triple H is definitely behind Austin Theory down in NXT. Loved him. Triple H is the one that brought him back. So yeah. But yeah, moving on. I mean, it made Raw interesting, and so that's Monday Night Raw. Whatever we just talked about, pretty much Monday Night Raw. Some subtle things that we talked about, like Judgment Day and OC and Mia Yim. It's all building the Survivor Series.
yeah.
So Raw, the storylines around Survivor Series, they're just they're going to get it going. I believe this Monday.
Yeah. I
But
mean, and you know what? I wanted one comment about the OC and Judgment Day. How cool of a visual is it to see, Bullet Club members, AJ Styles, and was it Gallows and Anderson, you know, facing off against Finn Balor? That's kind of cool. Finn Balor obviously with his new stable. You got the original club and then this new club, this new stable. And I think it's just uh, it's cool as a wrestling fan to see the history between these guys, and then seeing that no, this is like now, like we're getting to enjoy this now, and in a Triple H run machine where, like you said, they're given a little bit more creative control with like where they take just even the words that they say when they're on the mic. Like you're seeing Finn Balor, yes, sometimes he's a little cheesy with it, but I think it's helping him in a way where it's like, oh gosh, he said what, But at the same time, it's cool seeing him be able to be this type of a heel character. Where I think he tried to do that when he was with Gallows and Anderson,
yeah,
when they were kind of his backup, and then they tried to be a little bit of a heel group. But I think that now he's getting to be dialed in, and I think it's definitely cool to see. And so it'll be hopefully headed to a barn burner between the
yeah. I think so. But now the thing that I want to mention here is how Rey Mysterio fits into all this,
yeah
because it seems like they've died down on that, which might not necessarily be a bad thing, because I think what they're doing is, and we've been calling this for a couple of years now. I strongly believe Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio is going to happen at WrestleMania, father versus son, first time in WWE. Because guess what? AEW had to pull that father versus son card very quick once they saw Dominic turning on Ray, so
yeah
they had to get their father versus son match in with the Gun, one of Colton Gunn versus Billy Gunn.
yep
So they had to get that in. but this will be the first time ever in WWE, to my knowledge, that we're seeing father versus son. And I really think you save that for a big event like WrestleMania, which is why we've kind of seen the drop off of Ray, at least the last couple of weeks.
I mean, he lost pretty bad to Gunther last week.
Yeah.
He had an Intercontinental Championship match, which is cool to see Rey Mysterio fight for the Intercontinental title. But Gunther made quick work of him. Not quick work, but I mean, he made, it was a good match, I thought. But but I think also, yeah, you're right. Where at any point does Rey Mysterio fit in this? Or is it that, no, I'm going to leave him and have his space so that he can really develop this heel character, which I think he's doing an okay job with. They're giving him this hard assignment, right? To become this heel, to become hated, but also to get over as part of this Judgment Day group, right? To be an actual threat, like to be an added number that gives Finn Balor, the front man, like a little bit more muscle, a little bit more credibility as this top heel, And I think he's doing an okay job. Who I think it's also helping is Rhea Ripley, right? Being able to feed off of oh, I'm Dominic's daddy, I'm your poppy. It's really entertaining. And I think it's done wonders for Rhea Ripley, and it should help establish the Judgment Day. And so even if Dominic is kind of just left on his own in Raw, good for him. He needs to kind of figure it out and pay his dues. If he's not going to, I mean, let's face it, he got fast tracked, to the main roster and was given a golden ticket to pay his dues alongside his dad. Not only that, in the meantime, winning the Raw Tag Team Championships for a couple of weeks,
Yeah.
I mean, what better training ground than that? It couldn't have been easier. I mean, not to say he's not working hard. He's a hard worker. You could see it, right? He's green on a few things. He's not for me not that believable when he's doing some of his offense. But he's working with professionals. He's working with the best talent that the world has to offer, and he has nothing but opportunity here to kind of make a name for himself. And so we'll see where he goes from here. I completely understand if Rey Mysterio really does want to get some distance, allow him to really marinate and allow him to, to slow burn this heel character so that it does have some time between now and WrestleMania. And then come WrestleMania, that's when we can start bringing Rey back, do a surprise run-in or something like that, and then really build something towards WrestleMania.
Make it really happen. I think you can. I think the way you start a reignite you got to let this breathe for a little while.
It could be Royal Rumble. He could do
in the Royal Rumble match.
In the Royal Rumble match,
Rey and Dominic come face to face to one another, and they tease a fight.
It could be,
and they do a little quick brouhaha, and then
it could be Judgment Day dominating the Royal Rumble match.
Yeah.
Have it be Finn Balor, Damian Priest, and Dominic in the mix, getting rid of almost everybody, dominating the ring, and all of a sudden, whatever, number 25, make it late. All of a sudden, Rey Mysterio pops out, takes care of Judgment Day all by himself, gives a couple 619s, then he's left with just Dominic, and that's when they're finally going to come to blows. Even if Rey Mysterio eliminates Dominic out of the Royal Rumble, and that's the only offense that he has during that in and of itself, him putting his hands on him to the point where he's taking Judgment Day out single-handedly and showing him that, hey, we're going to touch now. I think that's good booking right there.
Absolutely. I think a lot of feuds are started in a Rumble match itself.
Oh yeah.
To build a Mania, so I think that's an easy formula to reignite the Mysterio feud after keeping Rey and Dominic on separate brands for a while.
Yeah.
But so let's talk SmackDown. Oh my goodness gracious! Let me tell you something. New Day versus the Usos never gets old.
Oh, I could watch.
Never gets
every
old.
week.
Like there are times where, even early in the show, we complain about seeing the match the same matches all the time, revisiting the same matches and get stale. But this is something that will never get stale. Like, give me New Day versus Usos all day long. This was a barn burner. They messed up a little bit at the end on the finishing move. I'm not too sure. Maybe it kind of fell a little flat just for a second. But
I just think that it was a very cool visual to see the Kofi Kingston take the 1D, from the top rope. But it looked like to me, it looked like he went for it. Like he went for, okay, now's the time that I have to go take the 1D from the top rope. It didn't look like he was trying to do some type of offense. Is that what I think that's what you're trying to say, right?
It's just the delivery of the 1D kind of looked a little awkward.
Yeah.
For just for a second, though.
I mean, but you know what? Honestly, it's like it's the same, especially for, I don't know what Jimmy or Jay, whoever's on the front end, whoever's catching the head part. It's kind of like Randy Orton doing his RKO, like doing that cutter from from out of nowhere, especially with like the Evan Bourne shooting star press spot. Yeah. Like he barely caught him. I mean, it's impossible to get. It's impossible to do. And so the fact that it looked as good as it did, like that's great. But like you said, it does make for like is this how it's going to end? This banger is going to end with this. I mean, hey, again, 1D from the top rope is 1D from the top rope. Good, it's a good spot to book, and a good end to a match, and history making at that.
Yeah, Usos are now the longest reigning tag team champions of all time.
In all WWE history. And it's so crazy that record was held by current wrestlers, like by current folk, like right here, these guys,
Yeah.
And it's so good that it's these huge big name rivalries, long storied rivalry between New Day and Usos. And it's New Day who holds the record, Usos who are part of the bloodline, who's on a rocket to the moon going over, and it's history writing itself in front of our eyes. It's amazing to see. And it got me so excited to finally sit down and watch SmackDown because of that awesome promo between both of them to start off Raw on Monday. It's amazing how far both of these teams have come.
You know what my favorite part of the match was? It was 3/4 of the way through, and we see New Day and Usos are all staggering in the ring, and then they all get up and they start facing each other, and then they go right into the Rockers punches.
The standoff. Yep.
Oh, I love that. It was good. This whole match was freaking awesome. It went 30 minutes from the time that the show opened. About 3 commercial breaks, and I enjoyed every bit of this. I may have to go back and watch some of the old ones too, because if I'm not mistaken, I think it is late. I'm getting tired. They had a match like early this year, if I'm not mistaken, or last year, but either way, they did have a recent match within the last year and a half, and it was just really good. Like, this is just like a match that I'll never get sick of it. They can run it back next week, and I won't be sick of it, to be honest.
Oh, definitely. Hey, they have until Monday technically to hold on to their.
Oh record. My gosh! Imagine if they lost it at a house show.
On a house show this weekend.
Yeah, right. The story tells itself. They lose it at that because they were teasing. They're like, "Oh yeah, technically, you gotta wait. They gotta hold it till Monday.
Imagine
if they lose it at a house show and then win it back like the next night on Raw or something. Oh man, that'd be crazy."
So when Kofi Kingston took the fall, part of me was thinking, okay, I remember when the New Day held the titles. They had to defend it twice on the same night in order to beat Demolition's record, right? They had to compete twice. I believe it was DX, I want to say, or something like that. And then it was the Usos, or it was definitely 2 matches. I forget exactly what the matches were. It was a Monday Night Raw, and they opened it and they closed it, and then that's how they beat Demolition's record, right? I was kind of hoping about the opposite, where it's like, okay, they're going to somehow make the Usos fight again, right, at the end of the night to not only dethrone them, but also preserve New Day's record. Part of me is rooting for the New Day because, like, you see here we have like another record being broken, very recent, where I'm like, wow, this long held record by Demolition has now been surpassed by this modern day legendary stable of the New Day, and not 10 years later, less than 10. I mean, I don't even remember how far along that was, but it was like, here we are. Now we have the Usos breaking their record. And it's kind of cool to see that these two tag teams, like, we're going to look back years from now. We're going to look back at now and say, wow, these two teams coexisted. We got to see these two teams go at it.
Yeah. This is what we're seeing right here is the current Freebirds versus the Von Erichs.
Yeah.
The old school. That's basically what it's come down to. So we're gonna breeze through the next two things really fast, and I mean probably like 5 minutes, and then we'll get to like the main event. What happened tonight? WWE has been announcing the World Cup tonight. The competitors are going to be Santos Escobar versus Nakamura. That was the first round match tonight. We also got another match with Braun Strowman versus Jinder Mahal. Braun Strowman gets the win. Good to see Mahal back, but Braun gets the win.
Yeah.
Santos Escobar beats Nakamura with the win with the Phantom Driver from the top rope. So he advances.
That looked insane.
I
like Santos Escobar.
I really like that. Santos Escobar has a good look.
Yeah.
I think
he's scrappy.
He's one of those guys where I think he has it. I think he has it.
Definitely.
Just give him time for sure.
I love the entrance where he's wearing the mask and then he takes the mask off, and then it's just like, wow, this dude's here. He's here to go.
Yeah, no, for sure. The other people in this tournament, conspicuous by his absence tonight, Sami Zayn is in this tournament. Mustafa Ali, Butch, and Ricochet. So we're going to get some good matches next week for sure on SmackDown. And then we had the Women's Six-Pack Challenge, Sonya versus Raquel versus Shotzi versus Ali versus Lacey Evans versus Liv Morgan. The stipulation of this match is winner faces Ronda Rousey for the SmackDown Women's title at Survivor Series in Boston in 2 weeks. Shotzi gets a win. Now, really quick about this match, major botch spot where Raquel was on the steps with her back turned to the table. She was like trying to set up Sonya Deville, maybe for like a power bomb, but Sonya slip out, and then Liv Morgan was supposed to do the cross body into Raquel and put in Raquel and Liv Morgan through the table. So Liv Morgan was supposed to go with Raquel through the table. They totally missed.
Yeah.
They botched that spot.
It's so dangerous too. Yeah. It's like you see Liv Morgan just go like right on her shoulder, right onto the corner of the table.
So you noticed that too.
Dude, it was not good.
Yeah, it was not good.
Sonya Deville just looked super confused.
The commentators tried to sell it.
They could be knocked out. I'm like, you're damn right they could be knocked out. That's dangerous.
Yeah, so it was botched.
There's no way of like rehearsing or messing up and then having to restart. It's live television. You gotta do it. And I mean, I think she just didn't jump high enough, and I also think that Raquel didn't catch her where she was, where she could have just even jumped up a little bit to like even like just land on her back. They took it as it was. She tackled her off the stairs, and they just went right down.
Yeah, those steps needed to be a little bit closer to the table, and then it would have been fine.
A little closer, and Liv Morgan had to jump a little higher.
So Shotzi gets the win, which is awesome.
Good for her.
She's good, but we know that Shotzi's not beating Ronda at Survivor Series.
No.
It's a fresh matchup. Cool. Should go no longer than 10 minutes.
It'll elevate her for the next couple of weeks, and I think that it's going to be an opportunity for Shotzi to kind of make her name for herself, because now it's her, for a casual fan not really knowing too much about her, going up against a superstar like a world superstar like Ronda Rousey. Like, yeah, it's your opportunity to make a name for yourself, and I think that Shotzi did have a pretty good match against Liv Morgan for the SmackDown Women's Championship on a random Friday, but and so it's not like she's a stranger to the main event picture in the women's division. It's just that we don't associate her with having that type of caliber of a match, and so like this is her opportunity to show us what she's got. I mean, let's face it, Logan Paul got a title shot and made it feel like a title shot. Shotzi Hart, it's got to do the same thing.
Yeah, and I think they will. So this is gonna be a build up in between. I would not be surprised if we see Shotzi and Shayna face off in
Yeah,
between now and Survivor Series, and maybe after. But we see Shayna attack Shotzi tonight with after Ronda crept up on Shotzi. Back was turned to Shayna. Shayna puts her in the chokehold, and then we see Shayna and Ronda go hee hee ha ha on the way, and that's that. So
clean up on aisle green.
read up on how.
Oh, I'm like, oh, she could have just said nothing and ended it.
So we'll see what happens here with Shayna. Maybe eventually they're gonna maybe they're building for Shayna versus Ronda Rousey at Mania. So, but
That'd be cool. I would watch that.
yeah. I mean, the story they could definitely go that route. Let's just say that. But yeah, long time friends and in real life, and both from UFC. And I think Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey, that's going to happen. It's plenty of time for now. We're calling it 6 months in advance that we're going to see Ronda versus Shayna Mania. But in the meantime, and I think Shayna deserves. I think she deserves that, hold that belt for a while. It'd just be something fresh, and I think they're gonna go that route because Triple H is trying to put fresh content out there as best as possible. But yeah, so that's basically the women's part of it. We get that six packs challenge that's underway. We already talked about the World Cup. That's going to continue next week to establish the competitors for the semifinals. Then the week after, I think that SmackDown the night before Survivor Series, I think the World Cup Finals is going to be that night. I'm not too sure if I heard it was going to be in SmackDown or at Survivor Series.
I think so. I think that would be next week. Would be quarterfinals or no?
Well, this is the quarterfinals
This is
now.
the quarterfinals now.
Yeah,
So next would be semis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So next week continues the semis. Yeah. So, and then of course the winner of the tournament is going to face Walter, which I don't see any of these competitors being Walter, to be honest with you.
Maybe Sammy.
But you know what's pretty cool?
I think it would be cool if it was Sammy. So to get Gunther, is that where you're going?
You know what? No, but I started picking up on where you're going. Now I like where you're going.
Yeah.
I mean,
So I think that it would be cool to get Imperium and Gunther involved with the Bloodline. And it would be really cool to have Sami Zayn of all Usos to get the Intercontinental title into the Bloodline, getting another piece of gold for the Bloodline, right? And then the Bloodline would have all the gold, right?
Yeah. Basically all the gold that SmackDown has to offer, as far as I know.
Yeah. So it could go there.
Maybe get Naomi to win the women's title and then join Bloodline. I mean, you can definitely do that. But anyhow, it could happen. I don't expect it. You could definitely go that way though.
You could do it and have Solo Sikoa be the muscle, be at Sami Zayn's side, giving him the finishes, giving him the edge, doing the distraction with a surprise roll up, could do, sure. It's there. The story's there.
Yeah. Yeah. So they definitely could go that way. I really think that Sheamus is going to be the guy to beat Walter. They're going to have one more go ahead, and that's going to be a WrestleMania. Calling that right now.
Yeah.
WrestleMania. Here we are, like supposed to be talking about the road to Survivor Series, but everything's tying into
Hey,
WrestleMania
it's
somehow.
right around the corner. This road to WrestleMania is right around the corner.
So
Only a couple more stops.
yeah, we're not that far off. We're really not. Because after Survivor Series, there's no more pay-per-views until the Royal Rumble. The Survivor Series is the last pay-per-view of the year, and the very next pay-per-view is Royal Rumble because they're not doing day one,
They're not
January
doing day
1st.
one.
Not too sure. I don't know why, but whatever.
Yeah.
But so that's where we're at with Walter. Walter is definitely holding on to this IC belt for sure. But the other point I wanted to make is, even though we kind of know how the results are going to play out, that doing these little tournaments that Triple H does, that he's been notorious for doing uh, on NXT programming, AEW does tournaments all the time. You know what it does? It makes these matches more meaningful.
Yeah.
It makes us care about the matches. And for such a long time before Triple H came in charge, under the Vince McMahon regime, for such a long time, I just did not care what was happening on Raw. It was so difficult to talk about this week after week with the same matches all the time. Same. But now we get not only fresh content, but the other change that Triple H made to the booking was meaningful matches. We would get meaningful matches, even though we know the results of what the results are probably going to be. You know, winner gets Walter, Walter wins. At least we know that, okay, there's an incentive to watch these singles one-on-one matches.
Yep, that's exactly what you said. It's the incentive, right? And I think you
And
make
they're fresh
you make
matchups
such a
too.
good point too, because think about it, like without tournaments, without explicit title shots, like the only other reason why we would see wrestlers wrestle in a ring is if they had these personal problems, right? And for so long, the only time that you would see wrestlers touch is if they had these elaborate storylines and these elaborate, like, dramatic turns of characters where like it's the character and their story that's the focus. But here with a tournament, and like, listen, the indies, like, even if you want to think about, like, Impact has been doing this with their Bound for Glory series for years, right? Having these style tournaments leading up to a big meaningful match, right? And like, yes, there have been, this isn't the first tournament in WWE, but it's a good example of, like you said, now every match that we see for this tournament means something. And like, it's not necessary that the guys who are fighting need to have a personal, long rooted, like deep rooted story. No, it could just be like, we're entered into this tournament and this is our sport. My goal is to get that belt, and if you are in my way, I'm going to do what I do best and get you out of my way. And if that's the only reason why I have to put you in a sleeper hold, or do a phantom driver from the top rope, which looks awesome, like, so be it. Like, that's the sport. And I think that's why we as fans can gravitate to this more, because hey, listen, this is like our sport, right? And so we don't need to know why Tom Brady hates Peyton Manning. It's just cool to watch, it's just cool to see two top elite athletes go at it, and we want to root for who we want to root for as a sports fan. And there's an incentive. The incentive is to win. Why? Because you're going for a championship.
Absolutely. That's well said, man. That's absolutely well said. So we're going to talk about one more thing, but just so guys let you know, we are available now. Make sure you guys are subscribed on YouTube. Share this with your friends. We are sponsored by the Back Sports page. We thank them so much for posting our content. Check out their website, backsportspage.com. To catch up with all your sports news, interviews, and what have you. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube. We're also on Twitter, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Sirius Satellite Radio, you name it, we're on it. So make sure you guys are subscribed. Share this with your friends and family that like wrestling, of course. Yeah, your dogs, your cats, whoever likes wrestling. Make sure you share it out. And yeah, man. let's all have a good time and grow our Aftermath has some podcast community. So we are going to talk about the main thing really quick for the last couple minutes that we have. As the show is titled, The Road to War Games begins. The Road to War Games Survivor Series has begun this week. We saw little hints of it on Raw with they're establishing the women's side of it. Now, tonight, as SmackDown went off the air, we saw a nice little brouhaha at the end of the show. Basically, Roman Reigns comes out with the bloodline, conspicuous by his absence. Sami Zayn, Roman Reigns wanted to handle some business, starts calling out the Usos, and then the Brawling Brutes come out, their music, and we see Ridge Holland asking for backup. Sheamus comes out, and then his microphone's not working. Roman Reigns is rolling with it, making fun of Sheamus. Like, how could you think you can come out here and you can't even get your microphone working? So I thought that was pretty cool. Really,
that was good. That was smart for Roman Reigns to do.
Yeah, really off the cusp. And then you see Sheamus and the rest of the Braun Brutes come to the ring because they've been kind of feuding for the past couple weeks now, like two of the last 3 weeks or so. So now they're brawling, and Bloodline's getting the best of them. And then out comes, to no surprise, Drew McIntyre. We kind of figured he was going to be a part of this. So now we have a 4-on-4 situation brawling in the ring. That's the way SmackDown goes off the air. We sort of figured that Sheamus would be back. He just had a nice little honeymoon. He was busy. But
is that where he was?
Yeah. Yeah,
oh,
so he got injured. The storyline wrote him out for a couple of weeks.
Good for him.
He was busy getting married, and anyhow, the union, they having a union anyway. It's kind of late. So basically,
a different type of getting over.
Sheamus is unionizing for the past couple of weeks. He's been out. He comes back, and so now we have a 4-on-4 situation. And this is, I believe what we saw tonight is going to be your Survivor Series War Games main event. Yeah. We've been saying it for months that it would be like, your best stable would be represented in this match, and we believed that to be the Bloodline, and that Bloodline was going to be one of the teams that are going to be there. Now, nothing's obviously officially announced yet. Will probably be announced next Friday on SmackDown, but we know it's headed that way. Yeah, we've kind of seen it for a couple of weeks now with Brawling Brutes steadily getting involved and crossing paths with the Bloodline. So now Drew McIntyre is in the mix. 4-on-4. I'm not too sure if they add Sammy to make it 5-on-5, and then maybe Drew McIntyre and the Brawling Brutes and Sheamus get one other person. Yeah. Which you never know. Maybe Kevin Owens. Maybe
Kevin Owens. That's the name I had written down circled right now.
That's how I think that's how you do 5-on-5 at this point. Yeah. But they may very well keep it 4-on-4.
It could be.
Because War Games, for the past couple of War Games, especially in NXT, typically been 4-on-4. I mean, you could do 5-on-5.
You could do 5-on-5. I'm remembering sometimes I remember they really forced a fifth member of the War Games. I remember when Roderick Strong joined the Authors of Pain for one night to make it 5-on-5 to kind of round it out or something like that. It was like the three of them and one other tag. And I think it was the three of them and the Revival versus 5 baby faces. I want to say something. It was something like that. Or no, I'm sorry. It was 3-on-3-on-3 or something like that. It was crazy. But anyway, I think here. So the only reason why I think that it would be 5-on-5 is because in the promo package during like the commercial break about Survivor Series, they did say 10 super or 5 versus 5. It did say 10 superstars, 2 rings. And so, like, if that's the case, then yeah, it's writing itself to be the 5 bloodline members: Roman, Solo, both Usos, and Sammy. So that's 5. And then you got the Brawling Brutes, 3. That's 3 of them. McIntyre's 4, and then you got to add one more. I think KO is like a really good pick. It'd be good to see him in there, and I think it'd be awesome to see Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn go at it. Anytime they go at it, I liked. Just one of those things.
I was gonna say, had he not gotten injured, Logan Paul in
Could
the
have been
main
cool.
event,
Yeah.
but that's not happening. Logan Paul ain't gonna be back until summer.
Yeah.
Easily deep into summer by SummerSlam.
Hopefully WrestleMania, but you never know.
ACL, not counting on it.
Hollywood.
What's that?
It's Hollywood. It would make sense for Logan Paul to be at WrestleMania Hollywood.
Maybe make an appearance.
Oh yeah, that's true. He could host it. Gronk did it.
Hey, listen, that's very, very possible. They could very well do that. I wouldn't doubt it. There's just so much to talk about. I mean, we could easily talk about how great Logan Paul versus Roman Reigns is. Logan Paul, in my opinion, he's just got to work on, a couple. He's got to work on his mic skills, and I think he's just got to continue developing his character. But his his presentation, his look, his outfits, his theme song sounds a little generic, if you ask me. So I'm not really connecting too well. But also, but I do recognize that Logan Paul has been very good in the ring, surprising a lot of people. He's definitely shown that he can hang in the main event, which, believe it or not, he's 26. He's 26. Yeah. That's the same age Shawn Michaels was at WrestleMania 6. So that just goes to show that if Logan Paul wants it, he's got a full career ahead of him.
For sure.
For sure. If WWE, but he may want to stay part-time. I don't think
I would stay part-time.
And if he does, that's great.
It's longer that you could do this. You are able to continue doing what he's already doing with his Impulsive podcast, with his content.
He just can't be a main title holder.
No, I would not.
Yeah, because I'm after the whole Brock Lesnar thing, and even this reign of not showing up on USA, I'm not that big of a fan of it.
Yeah.
There's no need, there's also no need for 2 titles. You got to have a main guy show up on 2 shows. Which we believe it to be Cody Rhodes going to be the guy that beats Roman Reigns. But they could also go other routes too.
I could see Sami Zayn doing it.
That would be interesting. That would be very interesting. It's gonna.
Ideal way of Sami Zayn doing it is him becoming Sammy Uso, because the tribal chief made it so. So he's Sammy Uso, and Sammy Uso turns on Roman Reigns, and this is like getting real like medieval with it, right? Turns on Roman Reigns for however way he becomes the new tribal chief, and then makes everyone in the bloodline acknowledge him as the tribal chief.
That would be pretty freaking interesting, actually.
That's medieval. That's overthrowing the king.
That'd be something else.
I think Sami Zayn is a character who could do it. Would they ever dare do it? I don't know. I don't think so. But if anyone would do it and go over with it and have the fans go crazy for it, I think it would be Sami Zayn.
So listen. So here's the thing. Rock versus Reigns is not a shoo-in.
Right.
We believe it's going to happen, but it's until it's announced, it's not like a shoo-in yet.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe Rock could show up at Survivor Series. But
hey,
it's Boston. It's a good city to do it.
His show just premiered. Young Rock just premiered a new season. So
it's very possible. But until I see it, I'll believe it. Where you go if Rock doesn't show up?
You got Sheamus 1-on-1. You saw his pop come in today.
You do Seth Rollins.
Yeah, you got Seth.
Now Cody Rhodes, he's not, with his injury, he's technically not supposed to be back so close to WrestleMania. So some people say he's going to miraculously show up at Royal Rumble. which it could
That's putting
be
it
possible
early.
where he wins, but that's still 2 to 2.5, about 2 months earlier than the timeline he's supposed to return.
Yeah.
So we'll see. So it's going to be very telling over the next couple months. I think we'll have an idea by the time Royal Rumble comes
Could
around.
be
We'll have
Bray
an idea.
Wyatt, depending.
Yeah, and we haven't even talked about enough about Bray Wyatt, to be
There's
honest.
not enough
But
going on yet, but I
yeah,
am very interested. There's a
yeah.
lot of Easter eggs, a lot more Easter eggs. One thing I thought was cool, and I didn't catch it, was the flashes on the screen when Alexa Bliss was walking down the ramp. I forget. It was either at Crown Jewel or maybe the Raw before Crown Jewel or something like that.
There was something where it was it was on the screen behind her. It was definitely
Behind her, yeah.
backstage. Definitely backstage. I didn't recall the screen behind her on the ramp.
And it happened again with LA Knight tonight, but
Yeah,
this time
that's pretty
he
funny.
addressed it, and Bray Wyatt showed up or whatever. And
Oh.
so he's just getting going, and so between now and WrestleMania, if we're estimating that Roman Reigns is going to lose the titles at some point between now and WrestleMania being the absolute latest, who knows where Bray Wyatt's going to be by then? Who knows if maybe Finn Balor is going to be a huge heel and wants Judgment Day to go up against there's a lot we can do, and the fact that so many of these storylines are intertwining and people are mixing, and it's good to know that it doesn't need to be that everyone's staying in their lane. It doesn't need to be everyone, okay, you're only good enough to do the US title. Like, no, like Brock Lesnar went from focusing on the bloodline and the tribal chief Roman Reigns to then ambushing Bobby Lashley, costing him the US title, So it's just like, it's not far removed. They're not too many degrees away from, like you said, Seth Rollins, Brock Lesnar could get in the mix. I don't want him to, but
Yeah.
you know.
Okay. No, that's done. Really quick before we go off the air, do you remember that squash match between Bray Wyatt and Seth Rollins in Nassau Coliseum
Dude,
after in the red cage, and
can you
Bray
imagine?
Wyatt beat
Like, we were
Seth Rollins
so
in
hyped
5
for that.
minutes?
We were so hyped for that, and that was the dark match afterwards,
And did it in less than 5 minutes.
Less than 5 minutes. They brought the cage going down took longer than the match, it felt like. And then
that was fantastic.
They barely used the cage.
Seth got buried. He got buried that night, and nobody
by the Fiend. It
in
was
TV
early
land
Fiend.
even knew about it.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
But then we had the dark match redeemed, like the last time we went, when it was Seth Rollins versus Cody Rhodes that went for like 12 minutes.
Yes, that I enjoyed. That was a good dark match.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think a lot of that was let me see, what month was that in again?
Oh gosh, when was that? Must have been in the fall. Was that a year ago? No,
it had to have been in the spring.
It was okay. Yeah, it was shortly after Cody Rhodes. Shortly after WrestleMania.
Okay, so I guess they were kind of like, they use these dark matches for warm ups to test crowd reactions.
Yeah.
So I think this was kind of like a warm up type of thing.
And we saw a lot of that match happen during their pay-per-view match that followed.
Yeah.
So that's good.
For those of you guys that are watching, episode 99 is a wrap. It is 12:32 a.m. in the morning here, and WWE. And we haven't been on here in a couple of weeks. Joe, you haven't been on in a little bit, but there is like so much to cover regarding everything that's been happening in WWE over the past couple of weeks. But anyhow, if you guys want to hear about our thoughts on Crown Jewel, don't forget to go back to the prior video from last week with Tommy and Justin. Make sure you guys check that out. They killed it. Episode 100 is our very next episode. We should be bringing that for you guys in about 2 to 3 weeks from now. We got Full Gear next week. We got Survivor Series weekend the week after. And then I'm on vacation, so that's gonna be a great week to get episode 100 out, in my opinion. So look forward towards the end of November, and I cannot wait. Joe, thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Always
those
fun,
of you
man.
guys that are watching, make sure you share this with everybody. And Joe, we will see you soon. And to all you guys who are watching or about to listen on the podcast, thank you so much for your support. Make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, and you guys have an awesome night.
Agility from the champion. Oh, G6! That could be it. Delivers this